And the reason it's so important for you to develop courage is that if you perceive your goals as being untouchable, or if you perceive other people as being untouchable, you will never take the steps to actually see if that you can touch them, because expectancy is life's greatest weapon against you. Once you expect to lose, you don't even make an attempt. You don't even make an attempt, and that's how resentment festers. Now, what are the things that you can do in order to develop courage is that you can exit the established context, removing assumptions. Remember, we spoke about assumptions being the most deadly weapon against life. Assumptions are effectively a situation where you're experiencing an issue, but you're more angry than you are surprised. You get me? Once you realize that you start to get more angry than you are surprised with a reoccurring issue, that's how you know that you've fallen into assumption. You should always be shocked that you didn't win. You should always be shocked that you didn't win. Do you know why? It means that you believe that you had a chance in the first place. But if you're not shocked that you didn't win, then, well, sorry to say to you, nigga, you might have been out to lose. Now, you need to remove yourself from an established context, because an established context is a situation that reinforces the hallmarks of what your initial perception is. You get me? If you live in the hood and you're trying to get out because you're trying to play football, you're trying to be a basketball player, you want to be a mathematician, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a surgeon, what's the first thing people are going to say to you? How many surgeons do you know? Exactly. An established context is a context that validates itself based on what you're experiencing immediately. What you're experiencing immediately. But why would I look to the present? Why would I look to the present to try to validate what I'm trying to make happen? Why would I look to a situation that I don't want to be in as a reference point for my capacity to get out of it? I don't know, but you guys always seem to do that. The next thing you have to do is reality test. Now, the way to defeat an assumption, the way to defeat an assumption is always to find evidence against it. Always find evidence against your negative assumptions, no matter how small. No matter how small. You see, when you understand and when you permit yourself to perceive the validity of your own desires, it's easier for you to allow yourself to be the exception to particular perceived social norms. Perceived social norms. And when you reality test, what that means is that you're establishing new boundaries. Because if the assumed context is not true, then there must be another context which is more appropriate for your situation. This is why I say try new things, operate differently from the way that you've taught yourself you are. Because when you begin to actively make decisions, it shifts you out of narrative mode. Now you're in active player mode. That's very convenient for you because now you get to design yourself. You get to operate the way that you actually want to. It imparts you with a sense of agency and intention. Now, for there to be a narrative, there must be a protagonist. The protagonist is effectively the identity from which you operate within those narratives that you've established in your mind. The problem is a lot of us identify with our dysfunctions because of the way that we're educated. I believe it was Plato who said, every man seeks good. Now, I would rephrase that statement to say, every man seeks to do what is appropriate. Get me? Now, the way all of us are educated, the way most of us are educated as to what is appropriate is by a negative stimulus, not positive stimulus. And what happens when that's the case is that negative stimulus, we become conditioned to be more responsive to negative stimulus. And that's why we have such trouble standing up to circumstances in our life, because we perceive authority in the most negative situations of our lives, because authority in our minds has never been associated with a positive stimulus. And as a result, we're more likely to yield to negative situations. And the irony is, you end up defining yourself according to your weaknesses rather than your strengths. Now, what type of life do you believe that you'll be living when you define yourself according to your weaknesses? Exactly. Exactly. That's why you're in this situation right now, whatever that situation may be. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, but Cheshire, I have a gift and I define myself according to my strengths. I'm a footballer, I'm a wrestler, I'm an artist, I'm a singer, I'm this, that, and the third. But my question to you is, do you gravitate to those things because you're running away from your weaknesses, or because you're running towards your strengths? A lot of us we begin to resent our talents because we perceive our talent as something that we run to when we're trying to run away from life, and that actually blocks us from actualizing our capacities to the highest level. Because now every time you're on the football pitch, the only thing you're thinking about is, oh, I'm such a loser outside of the field. Same time defenders are charging at you. Every time you're playing the piano, you're like, I'm so shy, I can't talk to anyone, I'm a loser. Exactly. Exactly. You need to define yourself. You need to begin defining yourself from a position of strength, even in regards to your naturally given gifts. Because guaranteeing you, I'm guaranteeing you that defining yourself from weakness and then running away from it using your talents is impairing your talents. You could be functioning at such a you could be functioning at a level so high that you can't even comprehend it. Even me, when I speak to you, I used to have a situation where I would run away from the circumstances of my life by giving speeches to people, by talking to people, by giving lectures to people, by sharing my ideas. And the problem is that my ideas would be impaired in the way that I would deliver them and in the way that people would receive them, simply because I had a negative connotation to my talent in regards to the other parts of my life. You get me? You are a unified being. You are a singular being. You can't separate things. You can't run away. You can't run away. When you talk about your talent isn't something that you think, oh, this is my saving grace. This stops me from being an idiot. This stops me from looking like a fool. This stops me from being judged by people. This makes me who I am. You need to understand, you don't work because of it, it works because of you. And that's how you escape. That's how you become free. That's how you break narratives and get to where you're trying to go.